Hey everyone, welcome back to Behind Bars Blueprint. My name is Jason. I'm the founder and CEO, and we are an organization that exists to help individuals and their families navigate the incarceration process together. Today we're going to be talking about something that's kind of a mixed bag of nuts. It's prison is the symptom, but trauma is the disease. And this can be a very dicey topic, as pretty much anything with prison. But I'm going to flesh this out today. We're going to go into several segments of this, and I hope it makes sense. So let's get started. So what do I mean when I say prison is the symptom, trauma is the disease? Well, we all have our own ideas of that, but we might not be looking at the whole thing. See, prison is not the whole story. It's actually the very last chapter, usually the last chapter in a very long story that began a long time ago with much different events going on. See, I don't believe anybody starts out and says, hey, I'm going to start doing bad things one day. They just wake up and say, you know what, I think I'm going to go out and break the law. Most people behind bars, they're carrying wounds, and they're carrying wounds long before the sentence ever even begins. Now, let's be clear, not everyone in prison is a victim, okay? And I think we can all agree on that. You know, some people choose harm, others are harmed into choices, and we're going to go in a little bit more about what that means in a little bit. But both are true, both matter, and only one usually gets told. So let's tell both sides of the story. So segment one is called the hidden root of crime. We're going to call it the hidden root of crime. And the reason it's hidden is because most people never find it, never even realize it. But research shows that 60% of incarcerated men and women have experienced some type of early childhood trauma or early adulthood or juvenile trauma. It could be abuse, it could be neglect, it could be an addiction, family addiction. For women, the numbers typically even higher. Nearly 80% of women report past physical or sexual abuse, and that obviously is going to contribute a lot to how you think, feel, and behave moving forward in life. And a lot of times, remember, this happens early in life. So, trauma that's untreated doesn't disappear. Matter of fact, it mutates. It gets worse. It turns into violence and addiction and anger and self-sabotage and everything else you can think. Pretty much everything that has to contribute to an individual winding up behind bars. And that's why it's hidden, because a lot of times all these go unaddressed. They go unattended to, and it's something you just simply can't ignore. The second part of this is that not everyone is a victim. And let's be honest. You meet a lot of people. I've met a lot of people. Boy, I've met a lot of innocent people in prison, right? I've met a lot of innocent people in consulting. I've met a lot of innocent people over the internet talking about it. And let's be honest, there's a good segment of people that just simply are not the victims they're playing themselves out to be. Now, let's be honest, society loves to look at the crime, and they don't even look at the pain underneath. Nobody cares about what happens in leading up to that. And that's, to some degree, it's understandable. It's also how our culture functions, which is unfortunate. But I just released a video last week basically talking about, hey, there's both sides of this, right? So, if you've done something, or a loved one that that's incarcerated, there's two sides. There's a family on the other side. There's people on the other side that are hurt from this. And it's important to acknowledge that. But again, let's be honest. Not everyone is in prison because of trauma. Some people know exactly what they're doing. There's really no excuse as to why they're doing it. As a matter of fact, a lot of times when those type of heinous crimes happen, they turn into a docuseries, right? They start going, hey, these were, perfect suburbanite children brought up with loving, parents and family. And the reason why those are such, newsmakers is because that's out of the norm, right? But we also have people that, don't necessarily fit in that category, but didn't necessarily have any trauma growing up either. So it's, what we try to do here at Behind Bars Blueprint is get through all the mess and the noise of all that, because somewhere down in there, a lot of times there is trauma, sometimes there's not. We're not about making excuses here at Behind Bars Blueprint. It's about, transformation, but it only works for those who are willing to do transformation. And that's what we're trying to push for. I've been doing this for over 15 years. I've been working with people. I just recently turned this into sort of an organized program where it's front to back, start to finish type setup, so it's much more coherent, flows a lot better, and we don't have people falling through the gaps. And in that time period, I have learned one thing very, very well, and that is that if someone is not sincere, if they're not really ready and willing to make the change, it's not going to happen. This brings us to section 3, which is accountability plus healing can equal real change. Just like I was talking about in the last segment, if you're not being real, if you're just trying to fake your way through this, if your loved one is trying to fake their way through this, it's simply not going to work. It's going to show. Here's the key. You can be a victim of trauma. You can be a victim of early childhood trauma. You can be a victim of, late adolescent, early adulthood trauma, and still be responsible for your choices. And that's the big thing. See, accountability doesn't erase the pain, and the pain doesn't erase the accountability. It's something that they have to go hand in hand. It's okay to acknowledge both. I have to be accountable. Yeah, I'm hurting and I've hurt others. and I have to be accountable for that too. That's how real change starts. That's how real healing starts. It's the line we walk. We help people own their story. That's what we do here at B3. It's a, Behind Bars Blueprint. It's because when someone takes full responsibility, they get out of the cycle, and the reverse is true. When they don't take full responsibility, they stay in the cycle, and that's not what we want. And that's why this organization exists. That's why we started this, because a lot of times people just simply aren't getting the help they need, and it's because people aren't recognizing where the help needs to come from and where the hurt and the pain and the actions came from. People just see the courtroom and they see the outworkings of the courtroom. Nobody really has an interest in what happens leading up to that, and that's a very important piece, and it's a very large piece that's missing out of this whole system. So it's important. Behind Bars Blueprint, forces people to look in the mirror and ask, okay, I know who I've been, but who am I going to be now? So the fourth part of this is very important. It's why B3 is different. Why is Behind Bars Blueprint different than everything else? See, here's the problem. Most prison programs, and I'm not knocking prison programs, I think they're very important, but they're only one piece of a very large puzzle. They're a drug class here, an anger management course there, a workbook that gets half finished and then puts on the shelf and never completed. And that's the problem, because what happens when the class is in? What happens when, the man or woman goes back to their cell? What happens when their vocation is done and they've got all this time? Because let's be honest, when you have prison time to do and you're looking at any sort of, especially anything that has to do with years, you're going to have a lot of time on your hands. Even if you're heavily involved in programs and church and vocations and all that stuff, which they're all good, you're still going to have a lot of time on your hands. And that's where the gaps start taking place. See, then nothing changes. You're not using your time productively in the off times, basically. That's why Behind Bars Blueprint is different. We built this to cover the entire journey. This is from before you go, while you're in the middle of the courtroom, while you're being sentenced, when you're incarcerated, right before you get out, when you get out, after you get out. It's a complete, total, comprehensive program. Section 5 is why punishment alone fails. It's not that the court systems aren't needed. It's not that law enforcement isn't needed. It's not that the corrections system isn't needed. It's simply why punishment, which prison is, it's a punishment, why that alone fails. There's several reasons. We can get into a lot of that. Okay, they're taxed. Let's just be honest. And when I mean taxed, I don't mean financially necessarily. I mean they're overcrowded. I mean, the U.S. alone locks up more people than any other nation. Right now, 2 million people, rough estimate, is behind bars. Right now in the United States, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of resources. All those people take money. They take money to feed. They take money to house. They take money to watch. And so the system is very, very taxed. That's why Behind Bars Blueprint exists, or at least part of the reason why we exist, is because they're simply not able to hit all the areas that need to be hit. And we want to step in and fill those gaps whenever possible. And that's what we do. See, what a lot of people don't understand is within 3 years of being released, 2/3 of individuals will be rearrested. 2/3 will be rearrested. We call that recidivism, right? You're a good chance you're going to go back. A lot of times, if you're on probation or parole, you're definitely going back. And that's not a good statistic. That's not something that doesn't scream success. And that's why we want to step in and help here. That's because a lot of times, guys, punishment only, it hardens, it doesn't heal. It just makes angry people more angry. Okay. It makes the desperate people more desperate. We can go on and on. But when you work with ones who are ready and they're tired of the cycle, and again, I have seen this. I have seen a guy set in one of my classes every day. We had the class twice a week for 12 weeks. Every single class, this guy would say, doesn't work, doesn't work, doesn't work, doesn't work. And one day, light bulb clicked, came on, and he started realizing, hey, the guy now owns his trucking company. He moved to Virginia. He's doing great. We stay in touch. And he's apologized. And again, no need to apologize, but I understand. It's like, if that's all you've ever known is hardship and pain and hey, I'm just never going to get ahead. And I know it feels like, hey, I'm being prevented a lot of times. I'm not saying you're not. But I'm saying, what are you going to do about it? This country provides the best opportunity of any place on the planet to go past obstacles, to supersede, even after you've got a record, okay? Even after you've had a run-in with the law, all right? So part 6, guys, the last part of this is bigger than prison, okay? This goes far beyond prison. This isn't about feeling sorry for inmates. It's about facing reality. The truth is, yes, some people break because they're broken, okay? Some people break the law because they're broken. But others break it because they choose to. As simply as that. Both of those are true. It's knowing the difference and investing where it counts is what matters. Behind Bars Blueprint, we're for the ones that are sick and tired of the cycle. We're for the ones that are ready to rebuild. We're for the ones that are they're willing to face the past and own it, but also own the future too. Recognize, hey, I don't have to keep doing this, okay? Both are true. Okay, some people are in there because, yeah, they really truly deserve to be in there. Some people are in there because, okay, they deserve to be in there, but it goes a lot deeper than that. Broken people make broken people, right? Reverse is true. Okay, people that are healing can help heal other people, and that's what Behind Bars Blueprint is all about. And that's going to do it, guys. That's going to be the close of a 6-part section of Prison is the Symptom, Trauma is the Disease. If you want safer communities, if you want better outcomes, real transformation, handing out years is not the answer. Handing out years alone is not the answer. You have to hand out tools. And again, that's where we come in, right? Behind Bars Blueprint is a tool, and it is a front-to-back comprehensive tool. And here's the truth. This isn't for everyone, okay? I get that. This isn't for everyone. Some will never change, and I have seen that. I don't operate like that. I always assume that somebody will eventually see the light. But the reality is some people are just never going to change. And this program is for the ones that are willing to work and the ones that are willing to change. This program will also expose you if you're not truly trying to change, okay? And if that's you, or if it's someone you love that's trying to change, that really wants to make a change, you can find us at www.behindbarsblueprint.com. You can find all the workbook series also on amazon.com/author/Behind Bars Blueprint. Again, there are resources. Read them, pick them up, get whichever one you want, whichever one you feel is where you're at. We've got a book for loved ones too. This helps you connect with your loved one inside. And these books can be used together, guys. These books can be used where, you do a section, your loved one does a section, and then, you talk about it, maybe at the next visit, maybe on the next phone call. And just, hey, what did you learn? Hey, what did you learn? It's just some way to keep in touch and to grow together and start learning, hey, there's a different way to look at things. There's a better way to look at things because, because prison may be where the sentence begins, but transformation, well, that's a choice. And that choice starts right now. Till the next video, guys, keep the faith, stay strong.